I'm very hungry a lot of time, and that's because, like mentioned earlier, I'm a vegetarian, like an idiot. I'm just kidding. I love being a vegetarian. It's great. I feel better about myself. There's less chance of me accidentally consuming human flesh. It's fantastic. Actually, let's circle back to that for a moment. I'm from Idaho. Did you guys know that in Idaho it is against the law to be a cannibal? Yeah, I see some people in the back excited about that. Congrats. I've got bad news for you people in the back, because Idaho is the only state where it is against the law to be a cannibal. What? Why is Idaho, of all places, the progressive leader on the controversial topic of should we be eating people? I went to the Walmart the other day, and I saw a thing of pasta sauce labeled flavored with meat. Any other state, that could be human meat. Luckily in Idaho, we're limited to one of 3 food groups: red, white, or roadkill. All right, that was gross. Let's talk about something that has very little chance of consuming human flesh: vegans. Vegans are crazy, and I can say that because as a vegetarian, I made a conscious decision to not become vegan. That being said, they're the bravest people that I've ever met. Have you seen what they eat? Tangent! A few years ago, a group of killjoys known as the Food and Drug Administration decreed that if your product does not contain an ingredient, you can't advertise it using said ingredient. And the vegan food companies were like, we got this. We're just going to drop a few letters from the ingredient name. They'll never know. So, vegan chicken substitute. Nah, that's chicken. CHIK''N. Vegan beef? Nah, that's beef now. A lot of people love beef. Anyway, vegan ice cream? That's just a war crime. Alright, so that stresses me out a lot. You know what also stresses me out? Tests. Quick show of hands. Who here likes to ace tests? I'm talking 100% or higher. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Anyway, so I took an eye exam the other day. Fun fact, they don't time you on the eye exam. So I go out there, the optometrist is like, all right, tell me what that letter is on the board. And I'm sitting there like, E! And he's like, 20/20 vision. And luckily for me, there's absolutely no way of you proving that I don't have 20/20 vision. Anyway. So, let's talk about a subject that's near and dear to me that doesn't stress me out. My father. Now, it's Father's Day is coming up, so a better way to celebrate it than by roasting my father in front of a live audience. I'm just kidding. I love my dad. He's great. He's a much better comedian than I am. But unfortunately for him, he's not a 20-something college student. So he got me instead. Sorry. Anyway, my father's got a lot of very fun opinions about him. For example, he has some very strong opinions about hunting, which makes sense. We're from Idaho, and my last name is Buckley. So it's kind of there. Thing is, my father is a liberal Democrat from Massachusetts, which has been putting a kibosh on him relating to the men in the war as they talk about hunting elk. Now, this is all well and good, but the thing is, my dad's opinion is that hunting is too boring. Hear me out. Every hunting story is the same, according to my father. You go out into the wilderness. You see insert animal here. You shoot insert animal here from 500 yards, and then you bag it. Where's the sport? Where's the glory? And you might be thinking, Ethan, what about spear hunting or bow hunting? Get that crap out of here. In my household, we take the right to bear arms literally. Yeah, the name of the game in the Buckley house is mirror match. That's right. We think that if you want to catch an animal, you gotta get down to its level. You want to catch a deer? Antler helmets. You want to catch a duck? Jetpack. You want to get a bear? Well, better strap on your knife gloves, Wolverine. Because projectile weaponry is for wimps. Now, usually when my dad brings this up at the word barbecue, some red-blooded alpha male comes out and is like, "Hey! That's not fair! I'm sorry, does the deer have a gun? But the animals are naturally better than us." Well, I imagine if you gave him a gun, he couldn't do much with it, now could he? Now, I've thought this out, though, and I think that if this becomes the next big trend, and it will, I think that the next trend after that will be specialized hunting workouts. Yeah, you'll go to the gym and you'll see a man going like this. 20-pound weight strapped to his ears. And he'll be like, "Hey man, what you doing?" He'll be like, "I'm gonna catch me an elk this weekend." And his neck will be the size of a tree trunk. And you will look at that man and you will say, "That man is a hunter." And sure, you might die, but that's the glory in this story. You go out fighting a grizzly with your bare hands, and to clarify, those are your B-E-A-R hands. You will definitely... Thank you. You will definitely be finding a place in Mormon Valhalla. I don't know which degree of glory that is, but it's probably somewhere out there. For your funeral, we will have a potluck, and the potatoes will be delicious. Anyway, that's enough about my dad's weird opinions. Let's talk about mine. I got a lot of weird opinions. Like, okay, coins. All right, what's the worst coin? Just shout it out.
Penny.
Penny.
If you said anything other than a nickel, you're wrong and an idiot. Nickels are the worst garbage coin in existence, and I can prove it. And you might be thinking, Ethan, what about pennies? I'm sorry, have you ever heard of a lucky nickel? Maybe. But lucky pennies are far more obvious. But Ethan, what about dimes? You can buy like 12 of me for one of those. Get it? Because like guys like me are a dime a dozen. That's stupid. But not as stupid as nickels. Because nickels are the only coin that lie to you. Because when you're walking down the sidewalk and you see a penny on the ground, your first thought is invariably, "Oh look, a penny." But when you see a nickel on the ground, your first thought is invariably, "Oh look, a quarter." I could buy a gumball with that. You can't. You cannot buy a gumball with a nickel. I saw that on a cross stitch once. Anyway, speaking of cross stitches, or just stitches in general, Boy Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts, and let me tell you, it's a real trip being in a Mormon Boy Scout troop, because they believe some weird stuff. And before any of you get mad at me, I'm not talking about the religion, I'm talking about the non-canon stuff, the stuff you find in the sub-Wikipedia. Like, okay, so, Boy Scout, traveling up to the woods in northern Idaho, because I live in Idaho. So, you go too far north into the woods in northern Idaho, you hit the Nazis. I hate the Nazis. You don't go north enough into the woods in northern Idaho, you hit the Californians. I hate the Californians. But you go just far enough, you hit Bigfoot country. And I do love Bigfoot. So, we're all in the back seat of the Scoutmaster's truck, and we're talking about Bigfoot. Hey, how big do you think Bigfoot is? I bet he's like, real big. How many feet do you think Bigfoot has? At least 2. Maybe more. And the Scoutmaster decides to join in, and he says, "I always heard that Sasquatch was Cain, cursed to walk the earth for time and all eternity." That put a damper on things. Because on the one hand, we could meet Bigfoot. And on the other hand, we could meet the guy that invented murder. A lot of murder fans in the audience. Anyway, luckily Boy Scouts has left me with things that I retain to this day, like crippling anxiety. I have a laundry list of mental illnesses: anxiety, depression, I'm trying to be a comedian. And the thing is, is my therapist told me to combat this thing with therapy and medication, as opposed to the normal male route of bottling up my emotions really tight and getting really obsessed with football stats. The Hex Patriot. Whatever the case, it's fine and all good, but I hate pills. Because you're supposed to take pills with water, right? But my pills cause memory loss. And more importantly, they cause memory loss. So every morning I go to take my meds, and every morning I get the wrong glass. And every morning I down them with a refreshing shot of Listerine. That can't be good for me. Speaking of things that can't be good for me, rich people. Rich people have a thing where they really like to take food from the poor. Like, okay, so historical fact, lobster used to be peasant food, which makes sense because it's a big sea bug. Nobody should be eating the big sea bug. Who would want to eat a big sea bug? Rich people. See, poor people take food and they make it good, and then rich people take it. So, lobster, poor people make it good, rich people take it. Hummus, poor people make it good, rich people take it. Recently, this happened with ribs. I'm about to make a very controversial statement, so those of a weak constitution, cover your ears. Ribs are the celery of meat. Ribs have about as much meat on them as a vegan butcher does. Nobody should be eating them, and yet, poor people got really good at barbecuing. And they got good. And then rich people sauntered in, and the bourgeoisie took them like they were trying to make their own Eve. Now, you might be wondering, Ethan, you spent like a whole 2 minutes talking about being a vegetarian. Why are you so worked up about ribs? I'm not. I'm afraid they're going to go after a food that I like breakfast cereal. I saw an Instagram influencer the other day posting, do you eat your cereal with or without ice cubes? Ma'am, I'm about to ask you if you eat your cereal with or without these hands. I'm worried about this. Pretty soon they're going to start selling quinoa Krispies for $25 a box over at the local Whole Foods. I'm worried that if the bourgeoisie take all our cereal, we're going to have to find new meaning in the phrase eat the rich. You heard it, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Now get ready for hangry for human flesh. Well, I mean, except in Idaho, because that's against the law here. Thank you, that's all I got.